Ava Carter never imagined discovering she was pregnant would coincide with losing her husband, not to death, but to memory. After years of quietly aching through a marriage where love faded into routine, Ava had hoped their upcoming anniversary would bring healing. Instead, a sudden car crash wipes Eric's memory of the past 5 years, and her. When Ava rushes to the hospital, she finds not only an unrecognizing Eric but also Janie, the woman he once loved and the reason their lives shattered. Chapter 1: The Line Between Us. The warmth of early spring crept in through the bedroom window, but Ava Carter felt cold. She stared at the pregnancy report in her trembling hands that she received in the morning from the hospital. Her eyes became teary, which she refused to shed. She was pregnant. She whispered it aloud, as if saying it would make it real. "I'm pregnant." Her fingers tightened around the paper. This should have been the happiest day of her life. But happiness was a language she hadn't spoken in a long time. Not since the first year of marriage had passed and the hollow silence between her and Eric had become unbearable. Not since every good morning and good night felt like rehearsed lines in a play neither of them believed in anymore. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't distant. But he wasn't present either. Sometimes she wondered if she'd married a ghost still haunted by someone else. She knew the shadow's name, too. Janie. The three of them had once been inseparable, college friends who laughed too loud and drank too much. Ava, the peacemaker. Janie, the wildfire. Eric, the grounded one who had eyes only for Janie back then. They were going to get married, until the truth shattered it all: Janie had cheated on him. The betrayal gutted Eric. He disappeared for days. Ava found him drunk and broken, and it took her 2 years to help him piece himself back together, slowly, gently, lovingly. Eventually, he kissed her. Eventually, he proposed. And now, 3 years into their marriage, Ava wasn't sure if Eric had ever truly left Janie behind. Her phone buzzed. Her heart fluttered. Maybe it was fate, giving her a window. Eric. She reached for it. But it wasn't him. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Mrs. Carter," a calm, clipped voice said. "This is St. Mary's Hospital. Your husband, Eric Carter, has been in a car accident. He's in stable condition, but we need you to come in right away." The room spun. The hospital was a blur of white walls and antiseptic air. Ava rushed toward the trauma wing, her heart slamming in her chest like a war drum. She rounded the final corner, and froze. Through the clear panel of the private room, she saw Eric. Alive. Awake. Smiling. Not at her. Janie sat at his bedside, laughing softly, her hand stroking his arm with a familiarity that stabbed Ava in the chest. Eric smiled back, relaxed, like her touch was the most natural thing in the world. Ava's breath hitched. She pressed her hand to her belly, to the small secret growing inside her. A nurse noticed her. "Are you here for Mr. Carter?" "I'm his wife," Ava said numbly. The nurse blinked. "Oh. I thought, never mind. He's doing okay. He woke up an hour ago and asked for Janie. She's been with him since." Ava walked into the room before she could think better of it. Janie turned, her expression smooth and rehearsed. "Ava. I was wondering when you'd show up." Eric looked up, confused. "Do I know you?" The word struck her harder than she'd expected. "I'm Ava. Your wife." His brows drew together. "My what?" "Ava, can I talk to you for a moment?" Janie said, standing. Her tone was cool, almost victorious. Outside the room, Ava grabbed her arm. "What are you doing, Janie?" "Helping him," she said sweetly. "You told the nurse you were his." Janie interrupted, pulling her arm away. "He remembers me. Not you. And maybe that's fate, Ava." "Don't," Ava whispered. "Don't twist this." Oh, come on, Janny scoffed. You always knew he never stopped loving me. Even during your little fantasy marriage. He forgave me, Ava. Last month. We started talking again, and he was planning to divorce you. He wanted to be with me. You're lying. Janny smiled. Believe what you want. But he was mine before you. And now, he's mine again. Ava felt the walls closing in. She stepped back into the room, into the quiet. Eric looked at her blankly. Not cruel. Not distant. Just, gone. Ava swallowed the lump in her throat and whispered, "Get better, Eric." Then she turned and walked away from the only man she had ever loved. Chapter 2, What he forgot, what she remembered. Ava didn't cry when she reached home. Not when she collapsed on the couch they picked out together. Not when she passed the framed photo of their wedding day, Eric's lips pressed to her forehead, her smile small and hopeful. And not even when she touched the petals of the dried tulips he once gave her just because 2 years ago. She sat still, surrounded by silence. Then, slowly, she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out the pregnancy report. Her fingers smoothed the creases of the paper. A cruel thought flickered in her mind, should I burn this? No. Not yet. Some truths deserve to exist even if no one was listening. At the hospital, Janny returned to Eric's side, glowing like she belonged there. He was sipping water, looking dazed. I just met my wife, he said, voice low, uncertain. Yeah, Janny said with a bright smile. We were all friends in college, remember? I remember you, he said. Not her. Well, she was the quiet one. Always kind. But, you and I were the real thing. Eric frowned. Didn't we, we're going to get married? Janny hesitated, then sighed. We had a breakup 5 years ago, but it was not my fault, but Ava's. She makes you believe that I cheated on you, and we had a breakup. But you forgave me. When? Last month. We talked a lot. You even told me you were filing for divorce. That you wanted to start over, with me. Eric blinked. The words felt foreign on his tongue. But he couldn't remember enough to challenge them. She's still wearing a ring, he said. Janny's smile thinned. You hadn't told her yet. He nodded slowly. Right. But even as he accepted her version of things, his gaze drifted to the days, thinking about Ava. The way she was standing and looking at him like he had wronged her, and when she turned her back on him. He feels the urge to run behind her to wrap her in his arms, to never let her go. He rubbed his temple, the headache pulsing harder. This doesn't make sense. Janny stepped forward quickly. You don't need to stress yourself, Eric. The doctors said pressure can make things worse. Let me take care of everything. Just rest. Eric looked at her, then at the empty doorway where Ava had stood hours earlier. Something about Janny's eyes unsettled him. Later that evening, Eric's assistant, Will, called. Hey, Mr. Carter, sorry, I heard what happened. Just wanted to check in. The ring that you ordered for Mrs. Carter, I think you received it, and the shop owner wants to know if you like it or not. Eric blinked. Ring? Yeah, the one you custom ordered for Mrs. Carter. You said you were planning something big for your anniversary this week? A re-proposal or something. Silence. A cold silence. What? Will continued, oblivious. You were so excited about it, man. You said it was time you really proposed. Said you'd never done it right the first time. I thought it was romantic. Eric felt like the ground cracked beneath him. Thanks, Will. I'll call you later. He hung up slowly. The pain in his head sharpened. He turned to the mirror. What the hell happened to me? Across town, Ava sat in their shared bedroom, surrounded by a life that no longer felt like hers. She picked up a framed photo from their first vacation together. They were sitting on a pier, his arms wrapped around her, the sun in their eyes. He'd kissed her temple right before the photo was snapped. She remembered the way her heart had pounded. She remembered thinking, maybe he really does love me. But then Janny had come back into their lives. At first, just a message. Then coffee. Then longer conversations. Ava noticed. Eric said she was overthinking it. Was I? Now Janny claimed Eric forgave her. That he was planning a divorce. Ava clutched the photo tighter. You weren't that cruel, she whispered. You couldn't have been. At the hospital, Eric lay awake that night, unable to sleep. Every blink brought flashes, too quick, too faint. The smell of cinnamon in the morning. Laughter in the kitchen. A woman singing off-key while brushing her teeth. None of those memories belonged to Janny. His hand brushed the sheets beside him. Cold. He closed his eyes. And for the briefest second, he felt her lips on his cheek. A whisper, come back to me. His eyes flew open. Ava. Chapter 3, The Ghost in Every Room. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and cheap coffee. Eric hated both. But what he hated more was the mirror on the opposite wall, the one that showed him a man he couldn't fully recognize. 5 years. Gone. He knew his name. He knew basic facts. He remembered college, laughing with Janny, but now, after that night, he started to remember about Ava, and the way he liked to tease Ava, who always studied too hard, late nights with the three of them watching movies sprawled on his dorm floor. But the memories stopped there. His life now was like a photo album missing half its pages, blank, torn, or filled in by someone else's hand. And that someone was Janny. She hovered. Too helpful. Too rehearsed. Her touch lingered too long on his hand, her voice too sweet when she reminded him of what he'd supposedly said last month. Divorce. A second chance. Starting over. But something in his gut twisted every time she said it. Across town, Ava stood in the middle of their closet, gripping the edge of a shirt that still smelled faintly of his cologne. She had packed and unpacked her bag twice already. She was still wearing her wedding ring. It wasn't denial, it was mourning. She walked to the drawer by his side of the bed. Inside were little things, loose change, a few receipts, a dried movie ticket stub from a terrible action film he pretended to love because she'd been excited. Beneath it all sat a small black box. She froze. With trembling fingers, Ava opened it. Inside lay a ring. Simple, elegant. A tiny engraving on the inside, for every version of us. Her breath caught. The date etched beneath the words? This week. Their anniversary. A choked laugh slipped out of her, bitter and broken. You were going to propose again. Suddenly, her knees gave out and she sank onto the bed. Why now? She whispered. Why did fate wait until now? Back at the hospital, Will returned, this time in person. Hey, boss, he said gently, walking in with a laptop and a tentative smile. Doctor said short visits are okay. Eric nodded, relieved to see someone not trying to rewrite his life. Will sat beside him and opened the screen. I just recently learned that you had a memory loss, so I brought your calendar. Might help jog things. Eric leaned in. There it was. Appointment titles. Dinner reservations. Baby names list. What's this? Eric asked, frowning. Will hesitated. You asked me to help you brainstorm names last week. You said Ava was being all secretive about something. You thought it might be a pregnancy, but you didn't want to ruin her surprise. Eric went still. Will clicked again. A bookmarked browser tab. Top romantic backyard proposals. Another tab. Ring engraving ideas. Another. Surprising your wife with a second proposal after years of marriage. Eric leaned back, fingers trembling. She said I was planning to leave Ava, he said quietly. Said we'd already forgiven each other. Will frowned. Who? Janny? Sir, with all due respect, you hated her. Eric looked up sharply. Ever since you found out she cheated in college. Ava was the one who stayed. Helped you pick up the pieces. You told me once, she taught you how to love without fear. Eric's heart slammed in his chest. But she said that Ava made me believe that she cheated on me. Will continued. Oh please, don't trust her because you told me your whole story about how she cheated on you before your marriage and how Ava helped you to move on from her. At that moment, another past memory flashed in his mind. A sudden flash, Ava in a yellow sundress, laughing, twirling barefoot in their backyard. His backyard. Not Janny's. Not a memory she could fabricate. This one was his. But he was still confused. Later that night, Janny returned to the hospital room with dinner. I brought your favorite, she said, placing it beside him. Eric stared at the container. This smells wrong. Janny blinked. It's from the Thai place you love. I don't like Thai food. You used to. No, he said, voice firm. I didn't. A pause. Janny's expression shifted, subtle, but sharp. You've been quiet, she said, sitting near him. I spoke to Will. Janny froze. Oh. He mentioned I was planning a surprise for Ava. A ring. A reproposal. That was months ago, she said quickly. You changed your mind. I don't remember that. You told me. Eric looked at her carefully. And why is it that you're the only one telling me what I said, what I felt, what I wanted? Her eyes darkened. Because I know you, Eric. You knew who I was 5 years ago. Janny leaned in, her voice low and too calm. You don't remember Ava. You don't remember loving her. He looked down at his hands, fisting the sheets. I didn't, but I'm starting to. Janny's jaw clenched. You're just confused. No. I'm remembering things that don't involve you. That can't involve you. He turned away from her, the silence cutting between them like glass. She stood slowly. You'll regret this. Eric didn't look up. I already do. Chapter 4, The Confrontation. Ava walked into the hospital the next morning with steady steps and a heart wrapped in iron. She hadn't come the day before. She had needed time. Time to breathe. To think. To feel. And now, she wasn't here for answers. She was here for closure. When she reached Eric's room, Janny was already there, of course. Sitting too close. Smiling too sweetly. Her hand brushed Eric's wrist like she owned him. Ava stepped into the doorway. Eric's head snapped up. His eyes locked on hers. There was something different in them now. A flicker of recognition. Ava, he whispered. Janny turned, standing quickly. You shouldn't be here. I should have never left, Ava said, voice calm and low. But I'm not here for him. I'm here for you. Janny's lips curved. How brave. Eric tried to sit up straighter. What's going on? Ava's gaze didn't leave Janny's. You told me he was planning to divorce me, she said. You told me he forgave you. That he still loved you. Janny's smile didn't falter. Because it's true. Ava stepped forward, eyes sharp. You said you weren't the reason you two broke up, that I made it seem like you cheated. A long beat. You did cheat, Janny. You know it. Eric knows it. And I was there when he found out. I held him while he broke. I was the one who picked him up when you left him empty. Eric flinched at the words. Ava's voice cracked with emotion. And you came back, acting like none of it ever happened. Like the past 5 years were a glitch in your perfect little fantasy. She pulled something from her coat pocket, a small, velvet box. She tossed it to the foot of Eric's bed. Eric stared at it. Janny's face went pale. You want to talk truth? Ava said. There it is. The ring. The one he had made to propose to me again. Because he loved me. Not because I trapped him. Not because he felt obligated. But because he chose me. Janny opened her mouth to speak, but Ava cut her off. I let you play your game because I thought maybe he didn't love me the way I thought he did. But I see it now. He's still in there. And even with 5 years missing, he still knew something wasn't right. Eric finally spoke. Is it true? His voice was hoarse, directed at Janny. You said you forgave me, she whispered. I don't remember that, he said. But I remember you lying just now. Janny's expression broke, mask slipping. You ruined us, she spat. You always did. You were the background girl. The quiet one. He never loved you, not really. He just settled. Ava took a step back, heart aching, but not breaking. Because she wasn't afraid anymore. Then why did he start to remember me, Janny? She asked softly. Not about you. Me. Silence. Eric looked up at Ava, pain and apology in his eyes. I'm sorry I hurt you. You didn't, she whispered. Not really. You just forgot. But I never did. Janny stepped back, defeated, as a nurse appeared at the door. Miss, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Without a word, Janny gathered her bag and walked out, head high, but heart hollow. Ava turned to leave too. But Eric's voice stopped her. Ava. She paused. I may not remember everything, he said. But I remember how it felt when you walked away. Like something inside me broke. She turned, slowly. His voice cracked. I'm trying. To remember. To find my way back to you. Her eyes shimmered. Then keep trying. And this time, she didn't walk away. Chapter 5, All the Pieces Coming Back. The evening sky was brushed with pale gold and dusky pinks as Ava stood in their backyard, the one Eric had landscaped himself, always insisting he hated gardening but secretly loving the quiet of it. The wind stirred the trees gently, like a memory brushing past her shoulder. Eric stepped outside slowly, the hospital discharge papers forgotten on the kitchen table. He was home. And yet, he wasn't whole. Not yet. But when he saw her there, barefoot in the grass, wearing a soft blue cardigan over the same sundress he couldn't quite place, his heart stuttered. Ava, he said. She turned, soft light catching in her hair. You remember this place? Flashes, he admitted. You, dancing barefoot. Laughing. But I couldn't tell if it was a dream or... It was real, she said, her voice low. All of it. He nodded, stepping closer. I remember you, he whispered, brows furrowed like it hurt. Not just from college. But here. Waking up with you. The way you make tea. How you never finish a cup. Ava smiled faintly. I remember the sound of your voice when you're nervous. I remember that your laugh was the first thing I fell in love with. Her lips trembled. Eric. I still don't have all the pieces. But I have you. And that's what matters. She looked away, down at her hands. There's something you should know. He stepped closer. Okay. I didn't come to the hospital just to say goodbye. I was going to tell you something before your accident. His brows drew together. What was it? Ava took a shaky breath, then reached into her pocket and pulled out the folded slip of paper, the one she'd been carrying like a fragile hope. She handed it to him. Eric unfolded it, eyes scanning the printed words. His breath caught. "Ava. I didn't want to force it on you," she said, voice cracking. "Not when you were confused. Not when you thought someone else." He dropped the paper and pulled her into his arms before she could finish. "You're having our baby?" he whispered, voice breaking. She nodded against his chest. "Yes." His arms tightened around her, trembling. "I don't care what I forgot. I know this matters. I know you matter. And this baby." He cupped her face, searching her eyes. "I want this," he whispered. "I want you. Every version. Every day." Her tears came fast, but they weren't bitter. They were soft and warm and full of relief. He kissed her, slow, reverent, like it was the first time and the 1,000th. And this time, when she pulled away, he rested his forehead against hers and whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on me." She smiled. "You came back to me. That's all I ever wanted." They stood like that, bathed in the quiet glow of the setting sun, two people who had nearly lost each other, now finding everything they'd ever needed in one breath, one heartbeat, one promise renewed without words. And inside her, a new heartbeat pulsed softly. A beginning. Not the end. Epilogue, full circle. The soft thud of tiny feet echoed through the hallway. "Daddy," a little voice called, giddy and high. Eric turned just in time to catch a blur of curls and giggles launching into his arms. He scooped the toddler up with practiced ease, spinning her once in the air before settling her on his hip. "There's my sunshine," he said, brushing a kiss to her temple. "Did you help Mommy with the pancakes this morning?" "She let me stir," the little girl beamed, her blue eyes so much like Ava's it made his chest ache, in the best way. From the kitchen, Ava called out, "You forgot to mention she also spilled half the flour on the floor." "Oops," the girl whispered, hiding her face in Eric's shirt. He grinned and walked her into the kitchen. "She's definitely mine." Ava turned from the stove, her hair swept up in a messy bun, her cheeks flushed from the heat and happiness. "You two are trouble," she said fondly, pressing a kiss to her daughter's forehead and another, longer, softer, to Eric's lips. They still kissed like they had something to prove. Like they'd nearly lost everything, and refused to ever take it for granted again. "I like this version of us," Eric murmured into her hair. She leaned against him, wrapping one arm around his waist. "I like every version of us." Their daughter tugged on Eric's shirt. "Tell the story again. The one where you forgot Mommy." He and Ava exchanged a look. A smile passed between them, one stitched with heartache, healing, and deep affection. Eric knelt to his daughter's eye level. "I forgot a lot of things," he said gently. "But I never stopped loving your Mommy. Not even for a second." "Even when you didn't remember her?" she asked. "Especially then," Ava added, crouching beside them and pulling both into her arms. Their little family wrapped in quiet warmth, the kitchen filled with the smell of pancakes and the glow of love hard-won. Outside, the garden bloomed, just like the life they'd rebuilt from memory, miracle, and a love that refused to fade.